of the things I wanted to talk about is separation anxiety. This is when our animal friends become incredibly stressed when we leave. Or if with horses, sometimes it's when some of their pasture mates or some of the other horses in the barn are moved. So I'm here to talk about how to address this behavior, how to help them to overcome it, and just kind of understand it from the animal's perspective as well. Now, separation anxiety sometimes stems from a past event. Not always, but many times that's kind of what ignites this fear that they have or this anxiety. Whether it's, sometimes it starts very, very young, where they were, taken away from their mom at a very, very young age. Sometimes it's when I have a horse, and one of his best friends when he was a yearling, who he went out with every single day, all of a sudden just disappeared. He got sold. They took him out of the pasture, and that was it. And he was frantic after that. That was before I owned him. So, and from that point forward, if there is a horse he's attached to, he goes nuts if all of a sudden that horse is out of his sight. I'll tell you an interesting story about that as well, and how animal communication can really help in these situations, and understanding why it's happening and where it's coming from. And just like, you and I may have fears as well. I have a fear of heights, and just because someone comes along and says, that's not a rational fear, you'll be okay, or, that ladder is secure, I'm still going to have that fear going up that ladder. But sometimes we can figure out ways to help overcome the fear, or to help the fear become less intense. We can't always remove a fear. That's wishful thinking, but there are ways to help us overcome it, or help our animals overcome it. So you really need to look at it that way. No fear is, even though we may think it's irrational, to the animal or to the person, it's not irrational. It's not irrational. It's something, deep within them that is causing some type of a stressor or anxiety for them. So it's important to look at things that way. So back to separation anxiety. Sometimes when we leave, our animals become incredibly stressed. You have to look at it this way as well. For many animals, we are their world. Especially dogs, they can't wait till we get home. They want to be around us 24/7. When we leave, it's like, oh, what do I do now? It's like their world dropped out from underneath them. So, they wait, some of them just wait by looking out the window until we get home. So it's really important to redirect that anxiety, redirect that, anxious energy into something more useful. So, very important when you are leaving the house. Tell your animals where you're going. Got to go to work. I'll be gone for, 5 hours. I also tell them sometimes, I'll tell them when they can come and when they can't come, so that they know, because they're always like, can I come? So, I got to go to work. I'll be gone for 5 hours. Your job while I'm gone is, and then say what their job is, but make sure you put it in a positive context. And what I mean by that is, let's say I leave the house and my dog chews the couch while I'm gone because he has all this anxiety and all this pent-up energy. He doesn't know what to do with it, so he just kind of takes it out on my couch. You don't want to say, hey Rufus, your job while I'm gone is to not chew the couch, because when you say that to yourself. Your job is to not chew the couch. When you say chew the couch, you're actually picturing him chewing the couch. It's like the not doesn't get translated. So you always want to give them a job. You want to tell them what to do, not what not to do, if that makes sense. Always want to tell them what to do. So your job is to watch over the house and keep everything in order while I'm gone. That way they kind of know, okay, I'm going to watch over the house, got to keep everything in order, so you're not picturing them doing anything destructive. I'll usually also give them something, if I have a dog that has that type of anxiety, something to occupy that excess energy, whether it's an antler or a chew bone, something that sometimes I get those. I wish I had one handy to show you. They're like these little kind of rubber balls, and I stick a treat in there, and they have to work to get the treat out. That's always fun. So I'll do things like that so that they kind of know that they have a little game to play while I'm gone. And then I always explain to them, when I get back, we'll go for a walk. I will say, especially with dogs, you will have a happier animal if you can, especially if you know they have some separation anxiety or some excess energy, is to figure out a way to expel that energy prior to you leaving. Whether that means getting up a half an hour early and going, for a brisk walk with them, or playing with them before you leave. It's really important to just kind of, that way they're kind of getting it out. You're giving them enrichment. So many of our animals are incredibly intelligent. They have a lot of energy. And it's our job as their caretakers in many ways is to fulfill those components of their life. It is a lot to ask to leave a dog home who has a lot of energy and is very intelligent for 8 hours and expect them to just sit there waiting for us to come home. If we can enrich them, add that time, and I know it's not always easy, where we can enrich them so they look forward to a nice long walk, or playing a certain game, or learning new commands, teaching them things where they feel like they're empowered and they're learning something, and you're really massaging their brain. They love that, and you will have happier animals, and animals who are much more balanced emotionally, physically, spiritually, if we can give that to them. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you do have an animal who's a bit destructive when you leave, yes, communication works amazing, but also kind of figure out, okay, what is it they need from me? So, and sometimes it's just promising that long walk at the end of the day. That will be our time. And a lot of times that will help them get through that long day when we're not there. So again, you always want to tell your animal where you're going, how long you're going to be gone for, what their job is when you're gone. Really make a big deal out of it when you come home. If they've really made an effort to do their job, just make a huge big deal out of it. Reward them, thank them. And I always kind of picture for them, okay, at the end of the day when I get home, we're going to do this. I'm going to take you to the barn, or we're going to go on a nice long walk. We're going to go to the park that you love. And I know, with our busy life schedules, that's not always feasible every single day, but it's really important to kind of set up that little routine where you are just having that one-on-one with them, or you feel like you're kind of enriching their life, because they do wait all day sometimes for us. And yes, giving them love and attention is awesome, but also just kind of massaging their brain and their body is very important as well. So I hope that helps a little bit about separation anxiety. That I forgot to add in to my original segment on separation anxiety. And I think I told you a little bit about my horse Finnegan, who lost his best friend when he was just a yearling and was devastated after that. So fast forward, I became Finnegan's person when he was 4 years old, and he is now 26. But he's always had severe separation anxiety with other horses. He would absolutely go frantic if one of his barn mates was taken out of his sight. And I used to live in Massachusetts, and I had a little 3-stall barn, and I had a boarder whose lady who kept her horse in my barn, and this horse, her name was Peggy, and this was my horse's girlfriend. He absolutely loved this horse. This horse could not go out of his sight. I mean, even if she took the horse out of her stall and the horse was right in front of Finnegan, he would go nuts. He just would almost hurt himself. He would go so frantic if he couldn't see her. So, which all was going fine in that regard, except she came to me one day and told me that she was going to be moving. And I was like, oh, wow. So I started preparing Finnegan, and I explained to him, you know, Peggy's going to be leaving. She's moving to another state. You probably won't be able to see her again. It's important that you say your goodbyes. That was his big issue, is not being able to say goodbye, not having closure when a horse moved out or got sold. So I started preparing him a month before. You know, she gave me the date as to when they were going to be leaving, and he was still frantic every time she went to ride. He would run in circles. He would gallop the fence line, you know, almost to the point of just being out of control. So I kept preparing him. You know, she's going to leave on this date. You know, you just need to say your goodbyes. And on the morning that she was to leave, you know, I went out and I told Finnegan today is the day, and she pulled Peggy out of the stall, loaded her on the trailer. Now, mind you, this horse would scream and whinny anytime Peggy was taken out of her stall or out of sight. And so she was taken out of her stall, loaded into the trailer. He never ushered a peep. He was quiet. Peggy loaded the trailer left. He stood in his stall. He came out once. He whinnied once. And then he walked to the back of the pasture. It still sends chills in my spine, or gives me goosebumps, because I could just feel his pain. I could feel his heartbreak. But he understood what I was telling him. You know, he wasn't frantic when she was leaving. He just kind of was in the moment with her and calm, almost, you know, to help keep her calm. So, communication does work, and understanding where they're coming from and accessing them, you know, on a heart level, we can help and make a difference. So I hope that helps, and, you know that you can make a difference too. Thanks. And remember, if you listen, they will speak.